In this video, we'll look at the source-to-pay end-to-end process integration. Let's begin by looking at a process flow. Does your business process look like this, where it's disjointed, hard to follow, there are many manual or optional steps? Or maybe your process is a bit cleaner than this, but silos exist where sourcing, contracting, and operational activities take place independently or perhaps in different systems, and there are hard stops and manual handoffs between each one. Or maybe your marketing, finance, and operational divisions have different sourcing, contracting, and procurement processes. So each division is following a different process. SAP Ariba unifies your source-to-pay activities into an end-to-end process that increases cost reduction, compliance, and efficiency. The process starts in either guided buying with an ad hoc sourcing request from a user or from a category plan that's established based on contract expiration, new business requirements, or even spend analysis. The sourcing team creates a sourcing event from the sourcing request, copying over relevant documents. The sourcing team can then add content quickly using one of the many automated import options. Once the event is published and suppliers respond, the team awards the event and creates a negotiated contract. This leads to contract pricing terms, which leads to compliant invoicing, where users can quickly find items with the correct price, and suppliers can quickly find contract terms for invoicing. This in turn leads to meaningful analytics, which then informs the category plan, and the cycle starts all over again. The value levers for this are cost reduction, compliance, and efficiency, and process improvement. Let's look in the system to see a demo of how this can be achieved. The process starts in guided buying, where the user searches the catalogs for the items they need. If the items are not found, the user can create a sourcing request. The sourcing request is a way for a user to engage the sourcing team for help. The user completes the relevant fields, for instance, baseline spend, or other custom fields, for instance, project reason, as well as currency, commodity, and other fields that are required. The user then clicks Create. The user can then upload any relevant documents that may pertain to this request, for instance, specs, or other information that the sourcing team may need. The sourcing team can then open the sourcing request, review the data that's been entered, review the documents that the user has submitted, and then review the workflow. The workflow is customizable, so it may contain approval or to-do steps. You'll notice that the data entered by the user on the sourcing request has been brought over to the event. For instance, spend, currency, commodity, and other custom fields. This information is efficiently flipped from the sourcing request over to the event, in this case an RFP. Creating a sourcing event, such as an RFP, has 4 steps. One is setting the rules, for instance, the start and end date, and other bidding rules. 2 is setting the team members who can view and participate in the sourcing event. 3 is adding suppliers. And 4 is adding content. Content can be easily added to the event by leveraging the sourcing library. In the sourcing library, you can store standard items such as general questions or terms and conditions that can easily be copied over to the event. Pricing line items can be added using one of several methods, either manually, by a full Excel import, a simplified Excel import, or a smart import from Excel. Once the RFP has been awarded, a contract can be created directly from the sourcing event. This links the sourcing and contract activities together. It also allows the contract line items to be created from the sourcing event line items. And you notice all of the metadata that was entered on the sourcing project is now carried over to the contract as well. A contract workspace supports a full task flow, which includes reviewing and approving an e-signature, as well as publishing contract terms. A contract terms document inside of a contract workspace is used to push items to the catalog when a PO is required, or can be used to set up invoicing pricing terms for the supplier to invoice against. For instance, a user could go into guided buying and search for a particular supplier and go directly to the rate cards that exist for that supplier. In this case, a project manager and a consulting database administrator. These items could be viewed and added directly to the cart to create a purchase requisition. Notice how the contract is automatically applied to this item. This is important because it makes sure that the invoice is also applied to this contract, so that all spend can be accumulated and tracked for this project. In addition to creating contract terms from the workspace and pushing them to the guided buying catalog, a supplier can also see contract terms by creating a contract invoice directly against the terms that you published. When a supplier creates a contract invoice, they add items and select from the list of contract terms that you have published for them. This includes the negotiated pricing that came directly from the sourcing event to the contract and now to the Ariba network to be available for invoicing. The supplier is unable to change pricing or add additional items unless you allow them to do so through your business rules. Once the supplier submits the invoice, it is checked against all of your business rules for compliance. If it passes, it comes back into your buying and invoicing system, and the user is able to view it and approve it directly in the user interface. Invoices requiring attention or approval can be accessed through your requests, invoice requests. Contract invoice approvals are optional, however, and can be used with or without a receipt. The benefit of matching spend to a contract is that you can run reports such as this one and set up dashboards, which can then enable you to identify new sourcing opportunities. For instance, this chart shows a particular commodity where 62% is unclassified, meaning it's not matched to any contract. So this would be an indicator that this is a potential sourcing opportunity. To summarize, we've seen how SAP Ariba unifies your source-to-pay activities into an end-to-end process that increases cost reduction, compliance, and efficiency. For instance, we saw a guided buying sourcing request turn into a sourcing event, turn into a negotiated contract, which then flows into the contract pricing terms, and creates compliant invoicing. This all led to meaningful analytics, which then can inform your category plan and lead to future sourcing events. The value this brings is more cost reduction, more compliance, and more efficiency and process improvement for your company. If you have any further questions, please contact your SAP Ariba Customer Engagement Executive or visit SAP Ariba Help for more information.